Welcome to the Clean Mentality Podcast, where we focus solely on what you can do daily to make your life easier physically, mentally, and spiritually. I am your host, Easton Dutkiewicz. Let's get after it. So, welcome back again, guys. Easton Dutkiewicz, per usual. But I just want to go and explain to you guys, why do I do this? I could be doing a lot of other things with my life, and I do have a passion for helping others. And I just want to take you back through my past up to the point where I am now. And I'm going to start in elementary school. I grew up in Howell, Michigan, and I went to Northwest Elementary. And, in the school system, I think most of us have kind of a story of, it was school. We were in class all day and then we went home. The time that you really, had a life was once you got home, right? Maybe you had some friends, maybe you didn't. Maybe you didn't have very many friends like me. In elementary school, I didn't have very many friends. I had a play group in kindergarten, whatever, that my parents, put me into, and we were all hanging out like outside of school, whatever. That was kind of nice. My home life, growing up was very middle class, and I had for the most part, a good home life, but I also went through a divorce. My mom and dad divorced in 2006. I was 6 or 7 years old. Then my mom got remarried at about 8 years old. But that's kind of my past as far as like elementary home life. That divorce that happened. So I'm very similar to a lot of people. Many people I feel like have had a life change as far as their parents go, like a divorce. They've grown up middle class, maybe. They have had kind of the same elementary school experience where, you know, you had some classes you liked, you had some you didn't, you had people you liked, you had a lot of people you didn't like. You found your group that you're with. That's through every part of school. So the next example I'm going to give is in middle school, really when I start, becoming the person that I was meant to be. In elementary school, I was more of, just kind of an outcast, kind of a good kid, right? Got decent grades, good grades. The teachers liked me. I was kind of a teacher's pet. I just was. I don't know why. And then in middle school is more when the other kind of shit happened. Like sixth grade, I wasn't athletic, but I was like that skinny, kind of a skinny kid, not much muscle yet. I was tall though. I was 5'10". Even at sixth grade, I think the tallest I've been. So, but I got into cross country in my sixth grade year, and that was really a pivoting point as far as sports go, as far as like mental, true discipline goes. I started to learn then what hard, what truly mental, I started to learn the mental challenges and the barriers that you can overcome in yourself, in your mind. Sixth grade cross country, I sucked. The entire time I had to work at it. Every single practice, I sucked. I had to really work at it. And I had an amazing coach, Mr. Downs. He was also my teacher later in middle school, but at that time he wasn't. He was just my coach. And he was influential in my entire middle school cross country career and even high school cross country. But he taught me how to overcome my mental barriers, pushed me. He would run with me because I was one of the slower guys that year, being brand new to the sport. And he would have to push me like a lot because I would give up on myself. There was many times during the actual meets Um, that's like just a run, right? That's we're competing against another school. That I would just stop and start walking, and that's not that's uncalled for in that sport. So there's a lot of times where I've just walked it or failed it, DNF'd, and I had to learn multiple times that hey, you can't do that. You got to not quit on yourself. You got to go through. You got to do it. Go all the way. And this is when I started to learn this concept of discipline, consistency, the grind. Started to learn all those things, and it wasn't until my seventh grade year that I really got it. I started doing the like started going full full in as far as practice goes, as far as putting in the reps, pushing myself, running the entire run, regardless of how I feel, through the pain, through the cramps, because I ate something wrong or what I ate something before I ran. That was my thing. I could never eat before I ran, or I wouldn't do as well. So I'd always fast before the run. So yeah, seventh grade, I started getting some personal wins, personal records for myself. And then it was eighth grade year that I started also gaining popularity on the team in seventh grade. And also in seventh grade, I joined the wrestling team. Uh, and that was a whole nother level of it's another individual sport, right? I was big on individual sports, uh, probably because I'm just not as well geared towards team sports. Just never have been, never really am. I can, work with a team, but I do way better individually. So wrestling sucked at wrestling at first. That was a hard atmosphere. There's a lot tougher guys. Not saying it's not some tough people in cross country, because the guys that do go on to make a career out of it, or uh, do a high school careers in cross country, that's some hard shit. You run miles and miles and miles every week. Tens of 20 miles a week. It's crazy stuff. And so seventh grade wrestling, I learned another hard mental barrier I had to overcome. I had to overcome my fear of wrestling with another person or getting close to another person, and being able to manipulate that person and do a single leg takedown, and do a double leg takedown, and learn all these tactics that I didn't know. It was very difficult to at first learn those things, and it's repetition. It's if you don't practice it, you lose it. Like right now, I guarantee you, right now, I might know the I might kind of remember how to do it, but it's muscle memory. So it's just like in the gym, it's muscle memory. So it was not until my eighth grade year that I really got good at that too. It again is all about putting in the reps. I had cross country in the fall that got my endurance, my stamina up, and then wrestling in the winter time that was my strength, and a mental discipline, my mental strength came from cross country and continued to build in the winter with wrestling, and that pattern was great. It wasn't until uh, high school when I changed that, but I'll talk about that in a minute. So eighth grade cross country, I was the cross country captain. I hit a PR for the school, on the 2 mile run. I have a record, had a record. I don't know. I'm sure I don't now, but set one that year. It was important to me. And then I had multiple wins as far as some gold and silver medals in cross country or in wrestling. Sorry, and I'm sure I did in cross country as well. But it was I built all this up, right? I didn't just sixth grade, middle school. I built that mental discipline, that like that consistency up, and then I started winning on my third season, right? It took 3 seasons of cross country to get as good as I got. It took 2 seasons of wrestling to get where I needed to go, and that was off season training. I had to be a part of that to you know get to that level too. It's not just you don't just do it during the season, train, and then you just take a break. No, you do it year round. Like that's the thing people don't realize. And So then in high school, I made this change. It's kind of a drastic change. Mr. Downs actually said I should try football. So I would go and try football. So the football team, it has all the stereotypes. It is everything that you see on the outside is exactly how it is on the inside. A lot of the TV shows and shit like that, that's real. That's like not far off from what it really is. I got a lot of popularity just for being on the team. Women, random people, all the team members, like all the players, you're part of it. You're part of the players and all that, and you're the jock. I got my first date during that time, but it was then when I transitioned from football. Mind you, I didn't complete football my first season. I quit 2 weeks early before it ended because I just truly hated it. Um, I didn't get along with the people, the coaches, and it just wasn't sitting right with me. And if I could go back and change it, I'd do cross country, and I know for a fact I would just thrive in it. But this is how it worked, and sometimes life takes you down a road to see how it was, or God takes you down the road to see how it was and how it's going to be. And I think that was also a moment where those last 2 weeks I should have finished it. I definitely should have finished it. Um, just to say that I completed one season instead of saying, okay, no, I quit 2 weeks early. There is another time, okay. So after that, I did wrestling. Due to football training is completely different than cross country training. So I really feel like football made me fat. It did. Like the way that we were training just wasn't the way that my body needed to train. I'm sure there's other ways that I could have with football trained differently, but I didn't. And it put me out of shape for wrestling. So I was a higher weight class and I just did horrible. I was not in shape at all. But mind you, I also wasn't putting in the reps that I knew I needed to. I was in a losing mindset. I was ready to quit from the start. And I quit again, that one. I quit wrestling season early as well. It just was a cycle. And you got to remember that if you quit something, it better be because you put your all in and you tried it for a long period of time and it didn't work. Or you completed the season and you're just not going to do it again. That's what I learned from that. So after that, that was freshman year. After that, I think I might have done track, and then that was it. I didn't do any more sports. I had a pretty miserable, crappy rest of my high school career. Um, and I got into vaping, and I got my first car, which was nice. I started working on my own car. Got in with this group of guys that, they're kind of into cars, and that was really where I stayed. Um, and just had a shitty time in high school. Didn't like it. Junior year of high school, I joined the Army National Guard. I had my parents sign me up, and I, at 17 years old, junior year summer, I went for basic training. I did 3 months of that in Fort Benning, Georgia, and then came back for my last year of high school, my senior year. Completed that senior year. It sucked. I just, again, high school was not, it was just a fad to me. I feel like high school is really just a fad. It's not necessarily good. I feel like there's way better ways to be educated. Homeschool, private school, learning on your own in the trades. You learn way more from that than from any school, public school. That's my personal opinion, and it's really been the case for a lot of people. Uh, so then my senior year summer, I go back for another 3 months training at Fort Benning, Georgia, my infantry school, and I became an infantryman that end of the summer. Really hard time too, because in between that, you're in you're back in high school with all these guys that haven't just gone to basic training. They don't know like what you went through. You can't relate to them, and you're just kind of stuck with this group of people that you feel like they're not disciplined. They're you know you got you also kind of gain this feeling of I'm better than them, but you're not like not like then I might have felt that way, but now I'm more humble and like later in life I definitely became more humble because you're not better than anybody else. Um, Everyone goes through their own shit in their life, and some people don't mature as fast as others, but that's not your fault. That's not their fault. Maybe it is their fault, but it's not necessarily in the time frame that it was their fault. So yeah, joined the army at 17, completed training by the end of my senior year uh, summer, and then went to college full time in the fall after infantryman school. And well, all I can say is that that was a method, a recipe for disaster. I was kind of straight faced like this the entire time during classes in college, and I had no emotion. I just was very like super extra disciplined and not outgoing, not social. I really felt like I didn't have any skill there. And within 3 months, I was so unhappy with it that I withdrew from all my classes. And I had my aunt pick me up, and we went home, and she dropped me off with all my stuff. And I went back to my high school job at the plumbing supply store. I worked that for a few weeks, and then I found a position as a uh, plumber apprentice. And I worked with this guy for 1 week, his company, and the guy I worked with, the journeyman that I worked with, was just so arrogant and rude and disrespectful to me as a person that after a week I said, "Yeah, fuck this, I'm done. See you later." That was it for me. I quickly learned that's not the path I was willing to do. I wasn't willing to take that disrespect because I knew I was meant for more. Maybe in a different world, like I'd take that disrespect and then turn around and be the boss and be a better person. But I didn't want that negativity to, become me. So it's the people you hang around with that you got to worry about too. Uh, I kind of isolated myself in high school, right? I isolated myself during that 3 months of college, and that was ultimately my own problem. And then I, kept working at the plumbing supply store. After that, I joined community college to try and get back on track to go back to Ferris. Did that, went back in the fall. In the meantime, I'd gotten into, weed and some not so good friends. It at the time was fun, but it really was just trying to relieve myself of reality, right? That's what anyone that smokes every day, they're just trying to not live in reality. I don't care if you say you have anxiety or whatever. Like if you're doing it every day, like you're just not living in reality. Like that's what that drug is for. It's you know there are medical uses, sure. If you have an actual medical reason that's legit, okay. But anxiety, you can get rid of anxiety by doing hard work. So don't tell me that you need that. You don't. After college, um, let's talk about this, I guess. So during college, I was in the ROTC. I was in the Army National Guard, drilling 1 week in a month and 2 weeks every summer, 2 weeks straight or longer. And I was pursuing a associate's degree, trying to get a bachelor, of course, but I ended up just getting the associate's degree. But all this during this time, I had gotten an MIP. I had gotten a uh, I broke someone's windshield. I did some bad shit, and I had to learn. Luckily, it was my first offense, so I got community service. But I had to learn how to manage all that. And when I hit that low, I said, "Okay, I'm not going to do this again." I locked in, and I got my physique was the best it's ever been. Nutrition, I got really good grades, A's and B's, and I just did really well in all realms at that point. This is after I got back to Ferris, and I brought myself out of it. It was, I was the only one there to save me, right? No one was coming to save me. I did it. I dug myself out of the hole that I dug it, right? I went down the hole. I climbed out of it as well. I took that on myself. My parents didn't know until I was done with it. And I took responsibility, complete ownership of that. I still ended up partying, still ended up doing a lot of the same things I was doing, but I didn't ever get in trouble again, and I did not go to that bad place that I was in again. But it was the stress of everything around me, and I let my emotions and my actions, negative actions, as far as drinking way too much, got the best of me. And that's one of the things on this channel, that this podcast, that's like one of the prime things that I'm trying to show you guys, that if you continue down the path that you're on, if you're on a path that's a downward spiral, shit's going to happen. And I don't want you to get to your lowest I don't want you to get to your lowest before you figure it out. That's why I do this. And I'm telling you my full story right now, undisclosed, because it matters. Telling people your story is authentic and it's true, and who gives a fuck what people think? Just tell them. Because I don't know what person, place, atmosphere that you're in, but I might change your entire life by doing this. So I hope that that message right there, as far as being at my lowest, helps you, because I was able to tackle full-time school, RTC, Army, National Guard, relationships, and having a pretty heavy social life through all of that, with along getting my community service and all that crap done and out of the way. And I took it on myself, and really, when you take the freaking reins of your life and you go, okay, this is clearly not a good place, I'm going over here, I'm going on the right path, that's really gonna change your life for the good. You have to take the reins. So after college, I got my associate's degree. I dropped out of ROTC because it really just wasn't the path I wanted. They were asking for 6 more years active duty, or 6 more years as a lieutenant in the Army National Guard. And I didn't want to do 6 more years. I'd already done 6 at that point. I was like, okay, I'm done. Thank you for everything, and I left. I went full time, started as a superintendent in construction, and I worked with some great people there in senior living building. That's what I started out doing. That was really cool, really fun. Then I started traveling. I did another senior living building in Huntsville, Alabama. I was there for 8 months, um, and learned a lot about labor and about different culture down there in the South. And then after that, I moved around to a few different jobs. I came back here to Michigan, lived at my grandma's, got a nice job that's 15 minutes away. Is another part-time travel, but mainly in Brighton, Michigan. Some work I did there, and that was the same gig, but as a project engineer in construction. And then during that time, I created Clean Mentality, and it came down to this. Like, I was still going up to Ferris on my weekends at that point to go party with old friends and um, be part of the party scene and go drink and all this. And it really was a negative downward spiral for me, because I started to realize, like, dude, you're 24 years old. What are you still doing partying at your college? You're like where you graduated. What are you still doing here partying with the same people? It was okay. I've become an alcoholic now because I'm not in college anymore. There's a saying that you're not an alcoholic if you're in college. Well, yes, you fucking are. You're an alcoholic, because if you're drinking every single weekend, you're an alcoholic. That's what it is. If you had drinks during the week every single day of your college career, you're an alcoholic. That's just truly what it is. There's no mask of I'm in college, I won't do it after college. That's some bullshit. You will do it after college. I did it for 3 years after college. Plus, the environment I was in was construction, and they drink too. So, like, if you drink and you're gonna go drinking with them. I don't advise that you drink every day of your life. I don't advise that you drink every weekend of your life. I think there's times and places that, yeah, okay, a couple, like one or two drinks is okay, but I really truly believe that you don't need drinking in your life at all. If you're truly mentally disciplined, uh, you know what your passion is, you know your purpose, you're not even going to need it. But so clean mentality was created at that point where I go, what the hell am I still doing here? I stopped going to parties up there. I still had a problem with drinking whiskey at night during the week on my own um, for a little while. And then eventually I did quit cold turkey and was done. And I did that for 6 months straight. And it was the best thing I've ever done. For 6 months, I was in the best shape of my life. It was the best mental clarity I've ever had. And the just how much happier you are with your life is the best thing about it. Um, then I found, I had already found beforehand 75 hard. I've been attempting it so many times. Uh, and that program was something I kept attempting, but I didn't get it that year. I didn't get it the next year either. But clean mentality was based off of this, and this is what I did for 6 months. I did no drinking, no smoking, and no junk food. And if you do those three things, if you can quit those three things and you do it for 6 months or longer, it's so beneficial. The amount of clarity you get, the fogginess that goes away, you don't realize what kind of brain fog you're in until you quit those three things for a long period of time. So after the 6 months, I did get back into it for about a month or two. And I quickly realized, okay, I don't want to do this anymore again. Stopped again for like 3 months. Got back into it for like, I think it was a couple weeks maybe. And then I stopped. And since then, there might have been one New Year's Eve that I did drink. And that's been it. I haven't drank since then. And this kind of brings you to my mission statement. When I found clean mentality and I figured out that's what I needed to be doing, I started doing that on the side. I've been doing that as my side passion and hustle, which is truly my passion for about a year and a half, 2 years now. And it's been 2 years. And I found that I want to help people become their best physically, mentally, and spiritually by showing them and leading them by example every single day of my life. And the way that I can do that is through my podcast, through social media, in person, being that lighthouse for people, being that guy that's, leading the example and showing it. You can see in his physique, okay, this guy is locked in. What is he doing? That's what I want. I want people to come up and ask, what are you doing? How did you get this? Because then I can be that person to provide them the help. It's with being in person too, is this. Hey, how are you doing? To anyone. But so many people don't even ask, like, hey, how you doing? Or what's up? Notice you've been hitting the gym. Looking great, man. Something easy, like here and there, like just making people's day. You have no idea how that does make people's day. It totally does. Um, there's a guy a couple months ago in Planet Fitness in the locker room, and I was just like, hey, how's your workout, man? And he was like, wow, you're the first person that's talked to me, and I joined this gym 3 months ago. It's sad that we don't talk we really don't talk to other people when there's nothing wrong with it. The worst thing that can happen is you get a negative reaction and they're an asshole, whatever. Just forget about them. But the best thing that can happen is they're super grateful and you made their day. And it also elevates your vibe as well. You feel better because of that. So the reason I do this is for that purpose right there. If you can make someone else's day better, or you can help them become better, or they completely change their life because of you, that's the impact that we have to make in this world. And only us as individuals can do that. It starts with you. You have to become your best so that then you can attract your best, so that then you can be part of the best, so that then you can elevate others to become their best. That's why I do this. And it would not continue happening if it wasn't for my faith in God and having him as my anchor every day. Because when I'm not anchored to him, I don't do as well. I don't do my best. I can't be that lighthouse. So that's why I do this, guys. And I hope that this quick 30 minutes maybe made an impact on your life. Shows you that I'm me. So I've built quite a few things mentally in my life so far. I haven't built enough. I truly never feel like I've done enough, and I'm still grateful for where I'm at, but I never feel satisfied. Even if I am telling myself, like, hey, you gotta be grateful for this, this, and this, which I am. Either way, I still don't feel satisfied. I know there's more and more and more that I can give, and that's what I'll do until I am in a casket. That's what I'm gonna do. So, appreciate you guys. I hope I changed your day, made you, think about life a little bit differently, and keep getting after it. Remember that you are the person that can make the change in your life so that you can change others.
You are on a mission to become the greatest man your bloodline has ever seen.